2014, I get fired. And then 48 hours after that, I found out my girl at the time was cheating on me. Up until that moment, I didn't really have any crazy trauma or adversity. It was that experience that really forced me to just reflect and be like, hey, I know I have massive potential inside of me, but I feel like my environment right now is not supportive or conducive for my growth. Change your environment, because in that experience, you're going to meet new people, you're going to expand your belief system, and that's gonna open up new possibilities in your life. Ayahuasca is a plant medicine indigenous to the Amazon. It's been used for thousands of years, not just for healing, but for expanding our consciousness. You can't see what you can't see. And sometimes it takes something external to shake us up a little bit. 99% of people are walking through life wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask at work, you're wearing a mask with your husband or wife, you're wearing a mask with that group of friends. Like, the biggest fear that humans have is actually just being themselves. We will always do what we get validated for externally. And it's not until you actually take a pause and you're like, yo, wait, is this in alignment with me? What am I doing? Trying to please all of these people externally and neglecting my soul.
I'm Manning Sumner. I've lived my life by one motto: no days off. No days off is never taking a day off on you. It's a commitment to becoming your best self. Get ready to be inspired to do the same. This is the Big Dawgs with Manning Sumner. All right, Jeremy, let's do this, man.
Let's fucking go.
So I'm going to just tell a little bit about you to the audience. So Jeremy Seth Abramson, am I butchering that or saying that right? As the son of a neurologist, you've always been fascinated by the brain and how to optimize it for peak performance in sports and in school. While your dad saved lives, you also saw the darker side of Western medicine, often masking symptoms rather than healing the root cause. Boy, we thank God for RFK. At 13 years old, your older brother Jonathan turned to drugs and alcohol, creating a 15-year disconnect between you. Though painful, this experience ultimately shaped your path and transformed your life's trajectory. After graduating from the University of Oregon, you spent a few years working in collegiate and professional sports before moving to Miami at 24. There, you discovered your true passion, helping others optimize their health and positively impact their lives, and became a personal trainer. That's interesting. We were personal training at the same time. What year was that?
That was 2015, 2016.
Okay, yeah. So I came here in 2001, but I was still training at that time at a high level. So that's awesome. Where were you training at?
I was training at the JCC, which is why Bomberito.
There you go. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So more up
This
north.
is crazy, actually, because like it's actually nostalgic and it's taken me back to those places.
That's cool. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Your journey led you to study thought leaders like Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, and Wim Hof, as well as indigenous shamans in Peru. A life-changing ayahuasca experience sparked your deep interest in plant medicine, specifically Psilocybin mushrooms. Before microdosing, you struggled with anxiety, a need for external validation, and difficulty fully expressing your emotions. Through microdosing, you found healing and now help high performers break their own limits. As the founder of Microdosing Mastermind, you've guided over 500 students in the past 3 years, empowering them to become their own healers. Beyond that, you're a speaker and host of the Jeremy Awakens podcast, where you have powerful conversations with top leaders in health, business, and spirituality. One of your quotes: social media and the internet usually just show you the highlight reels of people's lives. That sounds familiar. I believe authenticity and vulnerability are the superpowers necessary for building deeper trust and connection. We both could have said like this quote. I think I've said like literally out loud.
Maybe I got the quote from you.
No. It's awesome. I love this. I love the synergy. Yeah. I talk about authenticity and vulnerability all the time. So that's really special. I love that. Every relationship in life is a reflection of the relationship with yourself. Love that. So thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. So let's immediately, since we're both in Miami, let's take it back to when you decided to come to Miami. What made you? Why Miami?
Yeah, bro. It's crazy just reading that. I appreciate you bringing back some of these memories that I suppressed, that I forgot about. It was 2014. I was 23, 24 at the time. And I was working. I studied business and sports marketing at University of Oregon. I always wanted to work in pro sports. You know, as like a Jewish guy, they say pretty much when you get bar mitzvah, when you turn 13, you realize like, oh shit, okay, I probably don't have a future playing professionally, but maybe I can get involved other ways, right? So I was like, maybe I can be the GM of the Oakland A's. I was really passionate about all things sports. So after college, got a job with the Oakland A's, Stanford Athletics. Spur of the moment situation, July 2014, I get fired from the A's. Like, crazy story, maybe for another podcast. And then 48 hours after that, I found out my girl at the time was cheating on me. And I literally like witnessed it and then like just uncovered a lot of dark shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It caused me to reflect on my life. And I was like, up until that moment, I didn't really have any crazy trauma or adversity. And it was that experience that really forced me to just reflect and be like, hey, what direction am I going right now? I know I have massive potential inside of me, but I feel like my environment right now is not supportive or conducive for my growth. Mm-hmm. Like all my homies from high school were doing the same shit, like staying up late, watching SportsCenter reruns, smoking blunts, playing video games, talking about girls that they're never actually going to meet in real life. And I'm like, I need a change. So I packed up my Honda CR-V and I drove across country. And the reason why I picked South Florida is because my close friend at the time lived in Boca.
Okay.
So I knew I had like a safe space to stay for a couple of weeks until I got fully grounded. And then, yeah, man, the journey just like unfolded in very unexpected, unpredictable ways. And somehow, some way, like you and I are here in this moment.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to be here.
So you were at Bommarito. That's where you started personal training at Bommarito's?
So I was like, again, I came here a lot of times, and this is why I always tell people, bro, I'm like, book a fucking flight. Mm-hmm. Book a plane ticket somewhere, even if it's for a weekend.
Right.
Change your energy, change your environment, because in that experience, you're going to meet new people. You're going to be exposed to new ideas. You're going to expand your belief system, and that's going to open up new possibilities in your life. Yeah. And that's what I did. Like, I came here, I didn't really have any job lined up. And I was like, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about kids, coaching sports. So I went to the JCC. I was staying close by there, was coaching youth basketball, youth football. And then in that process, I built relationships with the parents, and parents would ask me like, yo, can you also coach and train me? You're very fit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's funny because I'm not even certified, but I should probably get certified. So I went through that process. Okay. And then they shared the same building as Bommarito. So I was constantly exposed to it he's at the JCC. I don't know if he still is. And yeah, I started doing stuff for Pete and just exposing myself to like the advanced kind of training modalities. And it really just fed my passion. I was like, wow, maybe fitness isn't just a passion. It can actually be something that I use as a launching pad to impact lives. Maybe it's a career. Right. I didn't know that shit existed, So that was kind of the foundation. And after I got into the fitness stuff, I just became obsessed with learning more because my clients were asking about nutrition, about different ways to elevate their energy and focus. So I was like Wim Hof, breath work, cold exposure, right? Early. I was like on that shit, 10 years ago. And now everyone has an ice bath, right? Exactly. But just discovering other ways to help people. And in that process, I was learning about myself. I was evolving myself. And then, the journey found me in Peru.
Yeah, let's take us down that, because that was literally my next question is this ayahuasca experience, because, you hear a lot of people tell their experience, but now I've got you literally sitting across from me. So I would love to hear much detail as possible. I've never done it.
Have you ever done any sort of hallucinogen or plant medicine?
Never.
Really?
Never.
This is so interesting because like when I witness you and what you've created, I'm like, this dude just has insane vision. You're a visionary.
Yeah. And I've felt that way my whole life. And that's why, for me, I've been exposed in terms of talking to people that do ayahuasca and mushrooms and ketamine and these kind of things. And they explain it. And I just have never had a real, my soul doesn't say I need that. My soul is saying that that's who I am already. That's just my take on it. I don't know if that's true or not or whatever, but that's just kind of how I feel. But I will say microdosing has actually been very kind of starting to speak to me a little bit more, particularly because I'm big into cordyceps and lion's mane and kava and kratom and stuff like that, which is kind of similar, you know, not really. Probably you'll tell me not really, but so anyways, I'm interested. So definitely let's hear about Peru.
Well, yeah, and before we even mention that though, like what's again going back to your vision,
Yeah.
right? This requires massive vision, and one of the beautiful things, again, and I'm curious about this. We'll talk about this later, but like one thing that happened, what led me to pursue ayahuasca. At the time, I was like a very well-respected trainer. I was mostly doing like one-on-one sessions with people at their properties.
Okay.
In Golden Beach.
I went down that road too.
Aventura.
Yep.
And there reached a point, bro.
There wasn't as much traffic back then, so you could actually do that, you know?
Yeah. And I was living in Sunny Isles. But there was that point where, that light bulb moment where it's like, okay, well, I like this, but there's only some certain level of scalability. There's only one of me.
Exactly.
Right?
I had that revelation too, so.
And there's that, and then there's also the realization, as I got more mature and I kept doing this inner work, I realized, wow, I'm getting paid to train these people in the gym, but the shit that I'm helping them the most actually isn't even really related to fitness.
Yep.
It was the other stuff I was sharing with them. So I felt like this whole time I had built this persona and this identity that was so attached to a trainer, like my physical body, and that was my self-worth and identity. And I knew I was meant for more. So that was like a precursor of why I felt this call to ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. So first night in Peru, bro. First night in Peru, I literally got all of the answers I needed. It was wild.
Wow.
And basically,
so the first trip.
Yeah. And basically what happened, and just for your knowledge, for your audience too, ayahuasca is a plant medicine indigenous to the Amazon. Right? It's been used for thousands of years, not just for healing, but for expanding our consciousness, right? And expanding possibilities, because the thing is, sometimes you can't see what you can't see. Mm. And sometimes our brains get so rigid and we get so attached to these different identities and stories and narratives. And sometimes it takes something external to shake us up a little bit and remind us how powerful we are, how much potential we have. So, dude, the first ceremony in Peru, probably 3 or 4 hours in, I get a tap on my shoulder, in my experience, and it's Nicki Minaj. And she's like, yo, Jeremy, I've been watching you. And I'm like, Nicki, like, what the fuck? How do you know who I am? She's like, yo, I've been watching you, and I actually want to do an Instagram live with you right now, where you can just share whatever's on your mind for 30 minutes.
What year is this?
This is 2018.
Okay.
And the funny thing about it, bro, is like, I was not a fan of Nicki's music. Like, she had collabs with Drake, and I would always skip through her part. Like, I was just not a fan.
Yeah.
Until this moment. Now I like have this whole new love for her. So basically in that experience, Nicki was like giving me permission to just do an Instagram live with her. So I just start channeling during my ayahuasca ceremony, which you're not really supposed to do, because there's 15 other people at mine, and
when you say channeling, what do you mean?
Channeling, I just mean speaking out loud.
Oh, okay.
As if I'm on this Instagram live.
Oh, wow.
But everyone's going through their own experience, so it's not recommended to really like be speaking, because that could affect someone else's. Right. But I start speaking, and the shaman and the medicine team like came over to make sure I was okay. They saw I was okay, and they just let me keep speaking. So I'm just sharing, bro, stream of consciousness, right, in this deep state with ayahuasca. And what happened was, a couple hours later, after the ceremony ended, 6 or 7 of the people from my group came up to me separately, and they're like, bro, you have no idea how much your words helped me. They literally shifted my whole perspective. They got me out of like a lot of darkness. Whatever you said was a revelation, and you have a gift. Do
you remember what you said?
No.
Yeah.
But I have an idea. Yeah. Like, it was just channeling. I wish that shit was recorded, but that was a permission slip, like just giving me that validation of what I already knew that I had inside of me. So shortly thereafter, I was like, I want to start creating content from an authentic space. I want to start recording a podcast. I want to just start expressing more of my authentic expression, with the intention of empowering others to do the same. because 99% of people are walking through life wearing a fucking mask.
Yep.
You're wearing a mask at work. You're wearing a mask with your husband or wife. You're wearing a mask with that group of friends. You're wearing a mask when you go out at night. And it's like, we're fearing just being ourselves. It's
Say that again.
Like the biggest fear that humans have is actually just being themselves.
That is the most profound thing that needs to be said so many times, because 1000%, I've had this conversation with some of my really close friends of like, what would a world look like if we took the mask off? What would the world look like if we truly said what's really going on in here? These conversations that we have in our, like.
Well, when did that happen for you? Because again, you were training, you build your first gym out in 2008, right? You're obviously like a big fucking jack dude. So people are obviously going to have their own stories. Like,
exactly.
This is how Manning is.
I think that's what it is for me was, and that even started young. So I was always the star athlete, right? Like that was who I was, he's the star athlete. So whether it was basketball, baseball, football, I was always the guy. Tennis, like everything.
Oh, you play tennis?
Yeah, everything.
Oh, dope.
So
we got to hit sometime.
Well, I haven't played in a long time, so don't get me out there. But back in the day, in my younger self. So I also loved art. I loved music. I loved singing. I loved all these other things that weren't considered, the jock stuff. And so I was the lead in the plays, and like I'll never forget, I was the lead in Lullaby of Broadway, in high school. So
wow.
And that side of me, as far as the deep, like inside of me, was probably more, I had more passion for that than I even did working out in the sports and all that. I was just so good at it that I did it. And then also too, I did enjoy it obviously, but I can say that like, I always felt, like you said, more than that, more than a body, more than a guy that, can work out or play football. I always felt like I had way more to offer. Way more from a creative standpoint, from a visionary standpoint, from a sharing standpoint. Like I knew that I was meant for more from an early age. Like,
yeah.
So.
And this is just kind of like your paintbrush. And this is like your foundation where you're using this as a launching pad to just impact all types of people in all sorts of ways.
Yeah. It was very early on where also I would say, and I'll have to ask you about this. So they say like ayahuasca it's like the death of the ego. Is that true, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, dude, it's interesting, right? A lot of spiritual gurus will talk about, dissolving your ego, killing your ego. I actually have a different perspective.
Okay,
I don't think you
thought you did. So
I don't think you should try to kill your ego. Right. I think you should actually try to understand your ego and become friends with your ego, and not allow your ego to have control over you, but don't try to kill your ego, because actually your ego is helpful in many different ways. Right. Your ego has helped you become the person that you are today. So let's not just vilify the ego, right? It's actually becoming friends with the ego. Yeah. Same thing with anxiety. People are like, yo, I want to fucking eliminate my anxiety. I'm like, but I guarantee your anxiety actually serves you in some ways. It's like, how can we just better understand it?
Yeah, I call it like just being more self-aware.
Yeah.
So self-awareness is something that I just think people like completely miss a lot of times. And I think as you get older, that self-awareness really like comes to, like, you start to realize who you are. And when you fuck up, when you act like an idiot, when you say stupid shit, like you immediately recognize it. And you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done it. And then you correct it. But like some people, it takes them years and years just to become self-aware. So,
and let's actually piggyback off that for ayahuasca, mushrooms, psychedelics. Let's just be very clear. I know people who have done hundreds of ayahuasca ceremonies, and they're still a shit show. Okay? Because they haven't actually applied the lessons that they learned into their day-to-day life. And that's really what the work is. That's what the integration is all about. It's like, okay, I received these powerful downloads. What am I going to do with them?
Yep.
Right?
Knowledge without application is a waste of time.
Exactly. And like you said, you had a vision for this place back in 2008, right?
Yep.
And you put it up 16 years later, right? But it started as a vision, and you didn't let the vision die.
Right.
You know, and going back to what you were saying too, it's interesting. Like, we will always do what we get validated for externally. So if you're really hot and attractive and you get a bunch of validation and compliments, you're going to keep posting those pictures of you in the bikini. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
And so many dudes also just get attached. Like, you're jacked, you're a trainer, whatever, you have a nice body, and you allow that to become your identity. And you're allowing your soul to be starved in that process, because your soul has such a bigger purpose.
Right.
Beyond your body, beyond the physical realm. So we're going to continue chasing the validation externally from what we're getting complimented on. So you're an amazing athlete. You're an amazing trainer. You have an amazing physique. It's like, okay, let me keep doing more of that so I keep getting the love.
Right.
Right? Because we all crave love at the end of the day. And it's not until you actually take a pause and you're like, yo, wait, is this in alignment with me? Like, what am I doing trying to please all of these people externally and neglecting my soul in the process? Mm-hmm. And that's what's allowed you to create the impact you are doing right now, is because you know your soul is here for a much bigger mission beyond the fucking fitness stuff.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
It's beautiful.
So how many times have you done ayahuasca?
I've done it 8 ceremonies total.
Okay.
So what happened the second ceremony, so the Nicki Minaj, usually you go on a retreat for like 7 days and you'll do 3 ceremonies.
Okay.
Like, maybe you'll do it one night, take a break the next night, do it the next night after that. Because what happens is every single ayahuasca ceremony is its own movie, its own revelation. And what's interesting is, like, someone like you're like, I don't really think I need this. My life's pretty good. I'm mentally stable. I'm financially stable. I'm thriving. I have good relationships. What's beautiful about ayahuasca, bro, is it gives you exactly what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Oh, what you want, right.
Right? And that's why it's so powerful. They call it grandmother. They call ayahuasca the grandmother medicine.
Yeah.
Because it's like that wise grandmother that gives you so much love, but she's also not afraid to give you that tough love. Right? She's going to show you where you've been out of alignment. She's going to be showing you where you're out of integrity. And she's also going to acknowledge you for where you're doing amazing. People think ayahuasca is always this really dark experience. Ayahuasca, bro, you see how much light and love and gratitude and oneness and connection there is. And that's why so many people have experiences and they have this newfound appreciation for God. Mm. And I think we would, as a society, all benefit more if we felt that connection to God, right? To this universal power, right?
Right.
And yeah, man. So like the second ceremony, it's the last ceremony I'll share with you. But like the second ceremony, again, is when the shit with my brother came up. So I was literally purging in a bucket, but I knew intuitively I wasn't purging for me. And I literally felt my brother's guilt, shame, insecurity being purged out of me. Mm. And I hadn't thought about my brother in months. I was like, that dude has been out of my life for so long. I just accepted it.
Younger?
Older.
Older, bro.
5 years older. I'm 34. He's 39.
Okay.
And I was like, what does this mean? And I was like, oh shit. I didn't realize how much his absence actually affected me in my life, because I had this fear of abandonment, because shit, if the person I'm closest to just leaves, right? What's going to keep you from doing the same shit? Mm. So in all my friendships, intimate relationships, I was never allowing myself to get too close to someone, because I had this fear that they would just fucking leave, right? And I didn't have that realization until the ayahuasca experience. And it also led me to like just call my brother, and I was like, yo, bro, I don't give a fuck about the shit from the past 15 years, dude. We can start fresh. You don't have to hold on to all of the guilt, right? Like, I'm moving past it. Let's fucking start a new life together, you know? And that would have never happened without ayahuasca. So it just brings awareness to things that we're not even thinking about.
Right.
You know?
How are y'all today?
It's still like a roller coaster. I would say, definitely in a completely different space.
Okay.
Positively.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still challenges for sure. My brother struggles with some mental things, like bipolar and stuff. So it can be really tough when you have a loved one with bipolar, man. It's so unpredictable. Right. And one day you think everything is good, and then literally the next moment, shit's hitting the fan.
Wow.
So it's really taught me just like surrender and acceptance. I can only show up and support you as much as you're willing to be supported.
Right.
And that's just a powerful lesson for life, is like, how often are we trying to help someone who doesn't actually want to be helped, or they're not open to receiving the support? It happens all the time with our parents and shit. It's like, we're healthy, we have all this knowledge, we want to share it with our parents, and we almost like force it upon them, but they're not ready to receive it in that way.
Right.
So we almost have to pause, come from a place of love, and also remember that it's not our obligation to transform their happiness. Obviously, we can show up in the most powerful way possible, but it's like that. It's been a valuable lesson. Yeah. It's been like we call it like a tikkun. This word tikkun from Kabbalah means soul's repair. So our soul has come here with things to repair, whether it's jealousy issues, anger, insecurities, fear of abandonment. Mm-hmm. And our job is to heal that and then help others do the same. So I'm curious for you, bro. I shared like the fear of abandonment thing was showing up and very prevalent for me. For you, like, you crushing it through childhood, crushing it, building these gyms, you built this name for yourself, this reputation. Like, what do you feel like is a really big obstacle you've had to overcome?
Pain. So, in my junior year in high school, I broke my back, and it was, again, like when you're the athlete, and then all of a sudden that's kind of like you're starting to second guess it, because every single time you're trying to do something, that your back and the shooting nerve pain and it's unbearable, and you feel like you're dying in a certain way, and you're letting everyone down that's around you, including your dad. He's like, you're not hustling, you're not doing this, and you're trying to explain, no, I'm in pain, like it's horrible pain. But because you're a badass and you're still, like, I played 9 games with a broken back. And
this
I was
is junior year of high school?
High school.
Okay.
Like, literally.
Where did you go to school?
Briarwood Christian High School in Birmingham, Alabama. So and I'm talking like I was, junior year, 6'1", 220, middle linebacker, running back, and I'm playing these games with a broken back because I was misdiagnosed with, they said I had a pulled muscle, but I really had a hairline fracture in my L5-S1 vertebrae.
Oof, what a terrible misdiagnosis.
Yeah, that was, and then just like, I think going through that process of not giving up on myself, though, regardless of the pain, regardless of how I felt, and just keep going, At an early age, I learned how to do that. And because you can't, like, it's either quit or you keep going. Like, there's no other, there's 2 options. And so I just refused to quit. And then finally I got diagnosed properly, ended up healing myself, and then going to Auburn, playing at Auburn, and then I broke my back. So then it was a hairline fracture, and then when I went to Auburn, I did it again, and it was a full fracture. So then I did it again, and here we go.
I didn't know you played in the SEC.
Yeah, 96 through 2000. So War Eagle. My dad played at Auburn too. So those are our jerseys up there. But
that's so sick, bro.
Pretty cool. You can tell my dad's jerseys from the 70s. It's that fishnet.
Were you guys nice? I'm trying to think. Yeah. Wait, because I'm a big avid fan of college football.
Okay.
That was because I remember it was probably at the end of that run. I was also a big Georgia Tech fan. My dad's from Atlanta.
Okay.
So trying to think, Auburn 96 to 2000.
Probably our best year was 97 when we played Tennessee in the SEC championship game.
That's when they had Peyton Manning.
Yeah, we went 10-3 that year and almost beat Peyton Manning. I think that he beat us 29-27 in the SEC championship game.
Okay.
So yeah, that was like probably my like funnest isn't a word, but great year.
It is funnest.
Yeah,
we making it a word.
The funnest year. I don't even know if that's a word, but
no, we making it a word.
We'll make it a word today.
That's dope.
So that was fun. I was the backup for Takeo Spikes, who will end up in the Hall of Fame. Shout out to Takeo. Had the biggest neck we've ever seen in our life, but I had a 22-inch neck too. So those are the days. But so I broke my back again, and then here you go again. You're like, what the heck am I going to do with my life? I was supposed to be in the NFL. I'm supposed to do this. So I had about a 3-month, like super depressed time. Went from 240 to 195, but not like a bad 195, man. It was a sexy 195, but
you were shredded.
Yeah, but it was trying to figure out like what's next. And so it was a lot of, those 3 months were big time depression. But I came out of it and just realized, okay, how can I use this to help others? So I dove into exercise science, kinesiology, health promotions, really started to figure out the body and why did this happen to me and how can I not let this happen to other athletes? And so I started training guys on the football team and just gaining as much knowledge as possible. Then I had the opportunity to finish my degree at Stanford University as the assistant strength coach. So that's how I got so instead of like doing like a written exam to your last year to finish, to get your diploma, I actually did I think it's an internship. So to get my, bachelor's of science at Auburn. And then, so that I would say to go back to your question. And then I'd suffered with this back pain from 2002, 2001, 2002-ish on and off till about 3 years ago,
Wow.
Like on and off, of course, not every day of my life, but for 3.5 years, there was everyday pain for 3.5 years. But just dealing with that, and it messes with you. Like it messes with your mood, it messes with your relationships, it messes with everything. And so I feel like that has been something that because I didn't give up on myself in those moments, and I came out on the other side of it healthy and thriving, that I can always kind of channel that man, if I can make it through that, I can make it through anything. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but
no, dude,
that's
literally it's the perfect. I had no expectation for your answer, but it's literally the perfect answer. Because I was telling you about like tikkun, this whole idea. We always have things to work on and improve, but there's overriding lessons that show up in our life, right? There's people that, go from one toxic relationship to another toxic relationship to another toxic relationship. And that whole process, they're actually dating the same person in a different avatar, right? And the reason it keeps showing up is because they're not learning the lesson the first time.
That's exactly.
And God is giving them another identical lesson. Are you going to pass this test? Okay, you're not. You're going to get it again. Some people have a lifetime of that shit.
And I would say that's one of my, I don't know if you call it a gift or whatever, is I've always been really good at not making the same mistake twice, of reading a book and applying it, being in a relationship and learning from that relationship, not doing it again, and exactly what you said. So we've all had psycho girlfriends and bad relationships and bad friends and bad business partners, but are you going to repeat that? Are you going to fall into that same trap? And I feel like I've done a real good job of identifying that, of what's not good for me, and then going to find something better.
Going back to the whole tikkun idea, right? You literally had this massive obstacle and challenge in your life. You fucking broke your back. You had your life at the time pretty much taken away from you. You got misdiagnosed, which just set you back years, right? Compromised your actual life. Like that's a deadly potential, like a life-ending procedure. Like my dad was a neurologist, like the spinal cord and the spine, like that's some real shit, right?
I've felt paralyzed from the neck down. I've felt that twice in my life. Like where I did not feel anything from the neck down. Twice.
How long did it last?
One on a football field and one on a boating accident. The both lasted probably around 30 seconds to a minute.
Oh my God.
And my chiropractor and my osteopath said that I was probably like this close to being paralyzed. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think it's just a powerful reflection is because you used every single obstacle, every single challenge that you personally went through in your life, And you weren't making excuses. You weren't playing the victim. You actually used it as an opportunity to help others overcome physical pain, right? Challenges with their health. And that probably would have never happened if you didn't go through that experience.
Oh, definitely.
Which is.
And I love what you just said, because I'm so annoyed with this playing victim, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people do that. They're a victim of their circumstances, and you're not. You know, your circumstances do not define you. Your choices do. And so that's such a powerful statement, because that's exactly how I felt, is that I could have been like, I'm supposed to be in the NFL. I'm supposed to be a badass football player, you know, and well, I guess my life's over. Or I could have channeled like I did and said, no, let me go help college and professional athletes perform better. And it's interesting because I kind of became known as the guy that helped guys that were coming off bad injuries. So like two or three of my biggest clients I ever worked with came off of career-ending injuries that I helped rehab back. Yeah, Shaun Livingston's probably my most like greatest accomplishment as far as just working with an individual and just seeing him overcome one of the nastiest injuries of our lifetime, you know, and
oh my gosh,
just being a part of his journey. And now 4-time world champion, and he's thriving in life with a family, beautiful house. It's just that those are the moments where you look back and you're like, again, not taking credit for it at all. I had this much to do with it, but I still had this much to do with it. And it's like, I had a little bit of an impact on that guy, you know, which is, and I think it's his letter. He wrote me a letter, a handwritten letter, and it's hanging in my office just for that reason.
Is he living in Miami?
He's in Las Vegas.
Okay, got it. I'm a big Warrior. I grew up like in the Bay Area.
Oh, no way.
So I was a fan of the Warriors when we were 17 and 65, and it was like Monte Ellis was the only good player. So I'm a huge fan of Shaun, bro. Like he was such a valuable addition for the Warriors. Like he would come off the bench and like he didn't even have to score, but like his energy, his defense, his versatility,
his knowledge of the game, like spacing and passing and complimenting he was a true point guard, like a real legit, you know, knew the game. Like you know, he's a great guy.
And by the way, to talk about ayahuasca and mushrooms, right? Literally, you can think about it in the way that we're talking right now and connecting and podcasting. We're having one conversation and then it like sparks this new conversation. Yeah. And it's like this never ending, like beautiful fucking tree of life branching off in these different directions. That's kind of what plant medicine opens up.
So take that into the transition to mushrooms and microdosing, because
perfect.
That's your expertise. So I would love for you to kind of transition into that a little bit.
Yeah. And one of the things, and I'm going to right now, one of the things just to circle back, because we were talking earlier about the importance of actually like recognizing your strengths.
Right.
I think we were sharing that, whether it's with an athlete, like there's athletes that have 15, 20-year careers and they might be the 7th, 8th man, right? But they know their role. They know their strength. That's one of the greatest superpowers you can have in this life, is actually having the self-awareness to understand what you're fucking great at. What is my unique gift? What can I bring to the world? Maybe it's your smile, your energy, your presence. Maybe it's your ability to ask questions and listen. Maybe it's your creative solutions to big problems. Like, we all have different superpowers and gifts within us. And once you actually have the courage to identify that and go all in on them, that's when you fucking create a reality that is very special. And that's what you've done.
And that's something you just said, go all in. That's why I feel like people just, they hold back just going all in on it. I would say this all the time. Pick one thing that you're great at and give me 1 year of complete commitment to that one thing. And if you do that, your life will change. It's impossible not to. Even if you fail, something great will come out of it. Because because you're never going to know what your true purpose is unless you commit to it. And I feel like we're living in a world where everybody's trying to be everything to everyone, and they're being pulled in all these different directions because we're being just overloaded with, I mean, algorithms and content, and everyone is giving you advice. Everybody's giving you advice. I don't care if it's an 18-year-old sitting in his mom's basement or some 75-year-old guy living on a farm in Iowa. They're giving you advice. So all these young people are getting advice about everything, and they don't know what the hell to do. But you got to find that one thing that you're good at or great at or at least passionate about, and then give it a try. Like, actually try. Like, you know?
Take action.
Take action.
And that's so true too. I feel like we're living in a culture that we're constantly being exposed to this person giving us advice, this person giving us advice, that person giving us advice, that we've drowned out our own intuition. We've drowned out our own voice. It's like, you know what would be a massive benefit to every single person listening right now is delete social media for 48 hours. Literally 2 fucking days. Delete every single app and actually spend that time that you would be mindlessly scrolling. Spend it journaling. Spend it reflecting. Spend it with yourself.
Spend it in silence. How about that? Like,
yeah.
Sit with yourself.
That's a novel idea.
When have you ever sat with yourself? Nothing. No music, no nothing. Go find a quiet place. It could be the beach. It could be whatever. And just sit with yourself and let your mind talk and speak to you. And then maybe something comes of it. You know, it's like we're just bombarded by technology, TVs and this and that. And that. It's like there's no silence.
Yeah.
And that's something I think I love that because did you know that the Instagram was designed like the Vegas casinos, like the slot, you know, how it's the
dopamine.
Yeah, the dopamine hit is the same. They did Instagram on purpose. The swiping is a dopamine play. So,
and we're the thing is, we as a society are extremely technologically advanced. We're all the way up here, right? But spiritually, we're down here.
We've gone backwards. Exactly.
So what happens when you give a primate who hasn't fully evolved their self-awareness or their spirituality, you give them access to a fucking supercomputer at all times in their pocket, right? With all the dopamine hits you could ever ask for, they have zero control over it. And that is the biggest thing I feel like preventing people from actually taking action and pursuing their purpose is a constant addiction to a distraction. And that's one of the things that actually mushrooms can help with.
So tell me a little bit about, so you had the ayahuasca experience.
Yeah.
When was your first, like, hey, I want to try mushrooms? Like, was it something you just wanted to try? Did you do research? Like, how did you get into microdosing?
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, pretty much after that first experience with ayahuasca, I was just like, holy shit, this is so powerful. What else is out there? What other plant medicines, indigenous things are out there from nature that we can tap into to expand our health, expand our healing, expand our consciousness? When I landed on mushrooms, bro, I was like so shocked that these things were fucking a Schedule 1 drug in America. I was like, there's literally not one person in the world that has been documented to have overdosed on mushrooms and died. Literally not one in the history of the world.
Wow.
You compare that shit to any pharmaceutical, SSRIs, especially when you talk about benzos and you talk about all of this shit that healthcare and big pharma is pushing out. These things are not only highly addictive, but literally people are dying from them.
Wow.
You take too many and you're fucking done.
Right?
You can't overdose on nature. You can't overdose on mushrooms, right? So when I discovered the brain benefits, specifically neuroplasticity, so mushrooms have a chemical compound called psilocybin.
Yeah.
And psilocybin increases something in the brain called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is a precursor for neuroplasticity, this idea of creating new neural connections in the brain, new ideas, new creativity, letting go of old patterns and habits that don't serve us anymore, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally why they're called magic mushrooms. And so few people actually are aware of it. And then some other cool things that mushrooms do is they decrease activity to the amygdala part of the brain. Now, the amygdala is responsible for fear, So most people who have really bad anxiety, ADHD, they have overactive amygdalas. Psilocybin actually reduces blood flow to that area of the brain. It's essentially starving fear from the brain, which allows you to be more present, more at peace.
I've never heard it described like that. That's really interesting.
And the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And I would say another thing like that you can't really measure in a study, right, is mushrooms allow you to actually feel your fucking feelings. Especially as men, like we're programmed that if we cry, we're a pussy. That if we get angry, we're fucking toxic masculinity, right? So where do we do? Where do we go as men? Right. We fucking just stay right in the middle. We don't express any emotion, right? What mushrooms allow you to do is actually feel your feelings. Like, oh shit, I'm actually feeling a little upset right now. I'm not gonna do anything destructive, but now I have the awareness. And now it's about how am I going to channel these emotions in a healthy way? I'm not going to run away from them. I'm not going to numb them, but I'm going to be aware of them and find the tools to actually address what's going on internally, right? And yeah, man, like authenticity. We were talking about that. Mushrooms really fucking helped me just not give a fuck about the opinions of other people, quite frankly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So my dad's background in brain health and neurology always kind of lingered in this interest for me. How can we take things that are going to benefit us cognitively with our focus, with our energy, with our presence, and not have any long-term effects, right?
Right.
And that are safe, that aren't going to be addictive. Like, I love Kratom. Kratom's amazing. Right? I think it's going to be one of the next things that is going to really be a big industry.
Right.
Okay. And it's also operating on your opioid receptors. So that's why you see people at Kratom bars, they'll be in there for fucking 12 hours, bro, with 4 Kratoms. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm not drinking alcohol. Yeah, bro. But you just spent $70 fucking activating the shit out of your opioid receptors. And that's why you're addicted and you're going to be here tomorrow doing the same exact shit.
Wow.
So Kratom has a great intention of if you're addicted to opioids, it can help you wean off potentially. But what it's also done is a lot
create
of people,
another addiction.
Exactly.
Right.
Like vaping, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea of vaping, like, oh, we're going to help you stop smoking cigarettes. Really? And then
I heard it's worse.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's worse. But yeah, we could go in on vaping. And then everyone is just in high school and college ripping a fucking jewel.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm all about reminding people. And literally like, dude, these are the microdosing capsules. It's just any fucking supplement, dude. It's 250 milligrams of psilocybin, 200 milligrams of lion's mane, 200 milligrams of cordyceps, a little bit of beetroot powder for the extra blood flow, that extra pump in the gym. You feel me? And
so tell me about, because I obviously take cordyceps and lion's mane and chaga, like stuff like that. So because those are in there too. So like, how does it enhance those, or is it just that's also just part of the?
So it's really important when it comes to mushrooms, and I'm talking about functional mushrooms,
right,
like the legal type.
Yeah.
To understand the sourcing, 99% of the shit you buy is coming from brown rice substrate. It's not actually coming from the fruiting body. You always want to look for fruiting body. Fruiting body is just the cap.
Fruiting body.
That's just the cap in the stem of the mushroom.
Okay.
Now, 99% of mushroom supplements are using mycelium, which is actually all the shit underground that you can't see. And there's very, very little benefits to taking any of that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you want to make sure you're using the fruiting bodies.
Fruiting bodies.
Organic fruiting body extracts.
Write that down.
And like any mushroom supplement that's using that will fucking say it, because it's like wild caught salmon or grass-fed beef.
Okay.
It's like you're gonna leverage the fact that you're using high quality shit. Right. So yeah, the reason we take these Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings. I work with a lot of
Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings.
Yeah. Work with a lot of high performers, entrepreneurs, parents, right? This is beautiful because it's not going to alter their state where they can't do something at a high level.
Right.
They can still be with their kids, crush it at work, crush it in the gym, crush it in all aspects of life. And you're actually just going to be more present and more focused and less distracted. That's the whole intention.
So talk about dosing. So you mentioned, I think you said 250 milligrams of psilocybin in there.
Yeah.
And that describes the feeling you just said, where you can still function and be with your kids and all that.
Exactly.
So talk about the dosing aspect.
Yeah, so the reason we put lion's mane cordyceps and beetroot powder in there is because if you just microdose with psilocybin by itself, you might just want to chill in nature, which is amazing. You might just like want to disconnect from work, right? Which is amazing also, but we have to get shit done, right? Exactly. We're living in a fucking 3D world where, you know, we have priorities, we have responsibilities. So those combination of things just increase brain function, focus, blood flow. That's why we put them in there. Again, once you start getting to like, and for the record, what's really cool about this, man, what's really cool is like, you can take a microdose and you might not feel much of a difference, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. There might be other days you microdose and you're like, whoa, like I really feel locked in. I feel so fucking present, so focused, tapped into flow state. Distractions don't exist, right? And we recommend taking it in pretty much a fasted state in the morning, maybe with some orange juice, fresh squeezed, or like a smoothie or a banana, something light so you can actually receive it. But once you start taking like anything above a gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, like one of the chocolates, that's when you start to like, you don't want to be working
or with your kids.
yeah. Maybe you want to be with your kids.
Yeah.
Because do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay. How many kids?
2.
Okay.
So I have a 5-year-old son and a 8-month-old daughter.
Oh, amazing, bro. Congrats.
Thank you.
So one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we get, because 90% of the people I work with are parents, and they say that microdosing has allowed them to be so much more present and patient with their children. Because I'm sure you can relate to this, like kids can really test your patience. They can
1000%.
Trigger you.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
But the problem isn't them.
Yeah.
The problem is not the 3-year-old who wants attention and wants love, right?
Exactly,
like they're actually a perfect mirror for us. Wait, how can I actually just be more like you? How can I be more carefree?
So I say that all the time, like especially having a 5-year-old son and just watching him live life. I often just say, I'm like how have we gotten so fucked up? You know, like how have we ended up where we are? And we started out with this beautiful, joyful, no care in the world, you know, like no fear, no, like it's just, he's like his own little superhero, you know, he can do anything. And he's so joyful. That's the joy is what gives me joy. But seeing pure joy in a child from the time he wakes up, from the time he goes to bed, obviously there's moments of, you know, tantrums and stuff, but like not many. And seeing that, it's just such a reminder that like we should be more childlike. We should be more present. We should be more grateful. We should be more joyful in this world, and don't let life just beat you up and turn you into some emotional, grumpy person, you know? So,
and most, you know, one of the biggest pains that so many parents experience later on in life is that they have a shitty relationship with their children. And most of that honestly starts in your first 7 years of life. That's when a child's brain is getting programmed. So how you speak to them, how you show up to them, how you discipline them, how you interact with them is going to impact your relationship with them for the next decade, 20 years, 30 years, right? And most of us don't have the tools because we just parent our children how we were parented. And we just repeat the same fucking patterns. That's why we need to actually become the leaders of our lineage and break these generational curses.
To me, you should, like, it's our job, our purpose to leave the next generation better than we found it. Like, that's, to me, it's like my dad did the absolute best that he could do with what he had. So I need to learn from that and then add to it and be better than my dad. And that's not a shot at my dad. That's saying, my dad should be proud of that now I want my son to know even more than what my dad shared me. Like now I have more year and this world, like we have more knowledge, we have more more things that we've experienced. So,
and you know what is actually arguably the biggest pandemic happening right now in America is fucking daddy issues, bro. And I'm not just talking about women, like dudes with daddy issues. Like the family dynamic in America has been absolutely attacked and destroyed. Like how many present, powerful, inspiring, loving fathers do you actually know?
right.
Like it's crazy, bro. Like
It's sad, actually. It's really sad.
I believe that my greatest privilege, was being born to two parents that loved each other and loved me. And like my dad just led by example. Did he do everything perfect? Absolutely not. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. But like, did he do the best he can and raise a really good son? Yes. And would I be the person I am without my dad? Absolutely not, bro. I don't even want to think where I would be if it was just my mom that raised me. No shade to my mom. She's incredible. But I think every child needs a strong masculine energy to help teach them, mold them, protect them.
Yep.
And
Men
really,
need men. Like
Yeah.
that's just a fact,
and you see a lot of the shit that's happening today, whether it's, the abundance of 18, 19, you ask a 17-year-old girl, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? They're like, I can't wait till I turn 18 so I can start an OnlyFans account. Bro, there's a lot of girls living life like that.
Yeah.
What's the father situation there? Like, imagine that person with actually a really loving dad in her life. I guarantee she probably wouldn't be dreaming of being an OnlyFans model as her career choice. Right? So the fact that you're showing up for your kids, bro, is such a gift and a blessing. And I feel like that's honestly one of the things probably that's going to help create the biggest impact in your life. Like,
oh, without a doubt. Like children and your own kids, and people tell you my brother has 3 kids and he had a head start, and he's my younger brother, and he used to just, tell me, and then obviously I witnessed it too. But even though I love them to death, and it's not the same. Like once you have your own children and you experience it, it is literally, I can't talk about it enough. I spent like 6 hours with my daughter this morning, just literally just me and her, and she's 9 months actually now, and I can't even explain it. Like it's like you're just sitting, like you're like it's dumb, like you're goofy, like you're just like, what do I do? Like it's just a great, beautiful feeling. Again, to see the innocence, the joy of their lives, because they haven't been exposed to anything negative really, yet. So
well, our biggest job as adults, when you actually get older, your biggest responsibility is to unlearn all the shit, all the programs that no longer serve you, all the shit that school taught you, all the shit that your parents taught you, all the shit that society taught you that was just fucking trash, and it was a projection of their own insecurities in life. So that's what mushrooms help you do. They help you unlearn, like, yo, wait, this habit, this thought pattern, this belief system, no, that shit doesn't serve me. I'm going to toss that to the side, and I'm going to actually create habits that are aligned with the life I want to create.
Right.
So it's all about awareness. Like, it's the same shit. And maybe I feel like the combination of your mindset, like your life, the fact that you have 2 young kids, like you're probably going through a psychedelic journey every day,
right,
without actually taking it.
I mean, I agree with you on that. Like, and then also too, I'm a very spiritual person, so I believe, I'm more spirit than I am body, and so having that connection with Jesus and God, and just like talking to God constantly, I think, like a lot of times people think that you pray like certain time. No, you can literally like thank God constantly throughout the day. You can have conversations with God constantly, like all day long, like anytime. You don't have to be, in church. You don't have to be at a Bible study. Like you could just be like, "What's up, God?"
Yeah.
And then I love what you said earlier about when you were on the beach and experiencing the sky and the sun. Like I tell people all the time, and it's sad because we live in Miami, but how many times do you just go to the beach and put your freaking toes in the sand and watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, and hear the waves, get in the water, come out? And I'm not talking about partying and having your friends there and playing beach volleyball. I'm talking about you, yourself, and just enjoying nature. Like, when's the last time you've done that? And try it. So we got to wrap up, but
no, do we have 5 minutes?
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm going to give you the mic, of course, but I do want you to think about one thing, because I ask all my guests this.
Yeah.
Is if there was one thing that you wanted the world to know about you, but they don't, and it's something that you haven't like let the world know, what would that be? And you don't have to answer that now, but because you sound like
I'm gay, Manning.
Oh God.
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
His
Can
coming
you
out
imagine
party.
that?
That would be awesome. If you were like, I'm gay. It's
I'm
live on the Big Dawgs.
I'm actually only gonna go by my pronouns moving forward.
Oh Lord, stop.
Yeah, you can call me king, legend, boss. Those are my pronouns. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. I think one of the things, and I just to about the whole parenting thing. Obviously, that's going to be one of your greatest teachers, but I think that's actually going to be one of the things that people witnessing you being a dad is going to be so impactful, bro. Like, I know a big part of my purpose is being a committed husband, the best dad ever. Like, that chapter of my life hasn't started yet, but I can't fucking wait for when it happens, because I've seen it so clearly that it's going to be the most impactful part of my life. Like, people are going to witness the way I show up for my woman and for my children, and they're going to be like, yo, that guy is just an amazing man. Not only with business, with his health, with his spirituality, but like, he fucking cares. He's present. He's loving. Like, that's what I want to be remembered for. You know, so
yeah, love it.
That's kind of something that, you know, because I haven't stepped into that next chapter yet, I feel like,
well, I have some years on you, so it's all good. You have time.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Okay.
So yeah.
Damn, bro. I hope I look like you at 47. Shit. What I was going to also say too is, you know, we were talking about authenticity, and this is like this is one of the things that I feel like so many people struggle with, bro, especially in a place like Miami that is so aesthetically focused, that's so material.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how hot can you be? How much money do you got? How much material shit do you have? What car are you driving? It's like, at the end of the day, none of those things are you. None of those things are you. Those are just masks for your avatar. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having nice shit. Treat yourself, especially if it brings you joy and like you're going to use it and you're going to appreciate it. But by no means are those things you. Those are all external things that we're chasing to actually feel whole and complete. All you need is to really connect to your soul, like really deeply, and feel into that. Like, what does your soul want to express that you're not currently expressing? I have so many hot girlfriends that...
Are they all yours or just...
No, friends that are girls. And they're so intelligent and they have a lot of depth, but if you looked at their social media feed, you would never fucking think it, bro.
I mean, that's it. It just is mind-boggling sometimes when you go and see all these girls out there and their entire page is bikinis and neck. You know, it's like, really? That's it?
Yeah.
Like, that's it?
Well, the funniest thing is like, and again, this is many girls that I know, many girls that I'm friends with. You look at their Instagram feed, it's literally just body.
Selfie,
Exactly.
Selfie. I mean, how many car selfies are you going to take? Seriously.
No, but think about it. Think about where they're at mentally. They are just in a place where they're chasing validation externally, mostly from men.
Yeah.
And you're going to attract a dude that really only gives a fuck about how you look physically. Guess what? 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, you ain't gonna look as good. That's just a fact. I'm sorry to break it to you. And you actually are just gonna attract someone who's seeing the material things, who's seeing your avatar. He's not actually seeing your soul because you're not sharing your soul. So understand, you are going to attract whatever you are putting out in the world. If you're just flexing your fucking whip, your fucking Gucci, your fucking Louis, whatever the fuck it is, that's what you're gonna call in. And it really starts getting fun when you connect to that authentic expression, like we were talking about. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, RFK, arguably the three most hated men in the world, bro. But guess what?
And loved.
Exactly.
And loved.
That's exactly where I was going. Guess what? You might not fucking like Trump, but you know exactly what Trump thinks.
Right.
Because Trump just fucking calls it how it is. He is himself, right? Same shit with Elon. This dude is the wealthiest man in the world, and he just doesn't give a fuck. He's just laughing, having fun, like has 13 kids. Like, you can talk shit about Elon, but the facts are the facts. The dude is by far the most successful man of our generation. We're going to look back 100 years at Elon Musk and be like, holy shit. Like, why did I not allow myself to appreciate this man's genius?
Right.
What the fuck? Dude, this guy is bringing internet to people in poverty. He fucking started Tesla, which is like revolutionizing the whole auto industry. He completely transformed free speech in America and the world. Like, and then he's taking people to Mars. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And people are throwing shade at him. So it's like, yo, man, just speaking your truth and being authentic is fucking dope, because you're going to piss a lot of people off. You're going to trigger a lot of people. And you're also going to attract your tribe. And people are going to see like, yo, I fuck with that guy. You know, his energy is different. He speaks his truth. I know what I'm getting. I know he's honest. I might not agree with everything, but I still fuck with him. Yeah, like that's it.
I love it.
And like, that's what I see with you too, bro. You're just a fucking authentic dude, and
we're not for everyone. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You're if you're truly being authentic, then you're not going to be for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you said, you'll find your tribe. You'll find the people that are meant to be in your life or that you influence, and it's okay. The rest can hate from the sidelines, you know? Well, appreciate you, man.
Yo, much love, everybody. Be your fucking self. Nobody can compete with you on being you. Let's go. Yeah.